You want to talk about this one? In Dubai.
Oh boy.
All right. Next one is a Gymkhana 4 moment. Right. Gymkhana 4 was actually a really cool experience for us because it was the first big time production we had. We'd hired a new production company. We were doing things on a much bigger scale. But with that bigger scale came like more safety. So we had a stunt team. We'd never had stunt people like be involved in anything we did. We just did it, right? So now we have these stunt people who were very afraid of us. They thought we were taking too much risk. So we had a stunt where Ken came in and took out a ladder underneath a Sasquatch, which, by the way, was originally supposed to be a stunt that Rob Dyrdek was supposed to do in Gymkhana 3 Part 1. And he showed up, looked at the ladder, got back in his car, drove away, and texted me, no. And that was it. That was it. He was like, not doing that. So the year later, we get Kelly Bolton, who was a pro BMX rider for DC Shoes at the time, to come in and do it. And Kelly's a hero. He's like, not only will I do it, but I'll do a backflip off of it. And the stunt team absolutely would not let him do it. They wanted to string him up with wires and do all this safety stuff. And we're like, that's not cool. That's too like Hollywood TV. Like, we don't want that. Like, he can do this. Like, just trust us. And they're like, there's no way. He had to like basically go through stuntman training for a day and prove to these guys that he would be able to do it. So they set up all this precautionary stuff, but we wouldn't let him use the safety straps. So anyway, he does it. A couple months later, we go to Willow Springs, and he actually did a backflip off the ladder. No stunt people there. Remember that?
And literally we did that, I think, because he just wanted
to do it. He was so mad that the stunt guys wouldn't let him do it because that's what he wanted to do in the film. And
that's wild when I look back on it now. I'm like, that is wild that we did that.
This one is something that I just threw in. A lot of times when we're filming things, we have to remove logos. It's a licensing thing. So you drive past a Citibank and you have to get approval from Citibank to say Citibank. So sometimes we'll just like block it out in the film or remove it in post. We had a billboard in Gymkhana 7 that had to be removed. And we ended up replacing it with the original ad for the movie The Room, which at the time no one really knew about. It was like a small like LA film thing. And then it ended up becoming the movie The Disaster Artist that just came out last year. It was all about the movie The Room. So that was like our little homage to The Room. Have you ever seen The Room? It's a really bad film, and that's the, that's the whole point of it.
Right,
it's so bad. It's so bad. Like, there's this one scene where the guy walks in and the first thing he says to him is like, oh, how have you been? How's your sex life?
Anyway, how is your sex life?
Can't talk about it? Why not?
It's like Rocky Horror Picture where everybody goes and watches it together and they all say the lines together. So it became this cult thing. You want to talk about this one? In Dubai.
Oh boy.
In Dubai, the team, the entire production crew has taken a break to have lunch. But myself, Ron, and the helicopter, we still wanted to shoot some stuff, and the heli had to leave. So the heli was like, well, we'll continue to shoot. We're not landing. So I was like, Ken, get in the car. Let's go out and shoot some stuff in the desert. You have to understand the desert there is just like long roads with like sand sweeping over the roads. Like, let's go out there and play and jump stuff. And then it all goes wrong.
Well, what happened was there's a shot in the video where I come along and I go, there's a big drift across the road and I go over it and come back. And it was super rad. We shot from the helicopter and a couple shots on the ground, and it was really fun. So I did it a couple times. But after I did it a couple times, once you go over sand like that and you slide and you use a lot of power with tires, you start to dig ruts. And basically I kept going more and more aggressive, and I was building more and more ruts. And the last time I just went too aggressive and caught one of these ruts and just went over. And like, we have one thing left to shoot.
We had the final
for the entire video, and I'm like, oh my God, what did I just do? Like, I rolled the car just messing around. Like, we were done. We didn't need any more shots.
We were just having fun.
Yeah, we were just having fun.
We didn't need anything we shot.
The entire video was in the can except for one important part, which is the donuts around the entryway of one of the
one of the
most high-end hotels.
And we
in
only had a
Dubai.
1 hour window to shoot it in. They weren't
Yeah.
gonna let us shoot it any other time because they cleared everything out. They cleared all the gold Rolls Royces and the
Yeah.
diamond plated Bentleys
Yeah.
so that we could come in and do this one scene.
Yeah.
And this story isn't about Ken rolling the car. It's about Derek and the boys, because Derek and the team got the car back together in like 2 hours. It was
Yeah.
amazing. They stitched it together and taped it together, and you'll never tell in the shop.
The car has been very quickly and recently
there's
repaired
bubble gum holding
out
it
in
back
the desert.
together.
Yeah, but it was repaired out in the desert, and we got the call. Yep, it's running, everything's good, and they brought it in. But that was all made possible because
The mechanics.
the
are
mechanics, the
incredible.
teams, we say that the rally mechanics are some of the best in the world, and it's because they're able to react and do this sort of stuff at a moment's notice. And we finished the video because of them repairing my little mess up.
This is a test of the emergency advertisement system.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Shop Hoonigan.com now. Get your ugly Christmas sweaters featuring the Hoona truck, coilovers, turbos, snowflakes, presents. It's even got a tree in the back.
All right, this one's kind of a weird one, and I forgot about this until Ron reminded me of it. Your Ford Focus RS, your personal one, was shipped to Dubai. So there's a scene where the Raptor is driving on 2 wheels. It was originally actually supposed to be a Raptor and a Ford Focus RS, both on 2 wheels, but
I wanted it to be a figure eight between these
right.
two.
That was the original concept for that scene. And unfortunately, the guy who was driving the RS was having trouble keeping it up, and when they brought it down, I guess they broke one of the suspension components, and we weren't able to do it
Well,
anymore.
I think he came down pretty hard, and then he steered, like it basically went into a curb.
Oh, yeah.
So it broke so hard. And this was like a prototype car at the time. The Focus
Yep.
RS was not out yet. So this was a prototype car. There were no like spare parts that you could go down
Yep.
to the local Ford dealership and buy. So it broke, and we were just out that car. Now, the reason why it was hard to get up on 2 wheels and stay there is because when they typically do that stuff, it's a special car built to do
Yep.
that. But this was a pre-production car that they were just trying to add weight in and do that thing. They're still
And the
on
guy who
street tires.
the guy who was driving it had only driven right-hand drive cars and had never done it in a left-hand drive car before, which apparently is a huge thing. Yeah. And this was a little extra bonus that I didn't know about, but apparently that car went missing. And it never came back to the United
Yeah, I
States.
never
No
got
one-
it.
No one knows where
I
it
never
is.
got it. Ford had to replace, because that car was supposed to be mine, the first pre-production one I got to drive.
Yeah.
And they had to find another one from here in the States.
So that car's still in Dubai somewhere.
Yeah.
We have no idea where. Here's another really good Dubai one. The original ending was the Hoonicorn. So the Hoonicorn was in Dubai because there was the motor show in Dubai.
Oh, yeah.
And we actually, so sometimes we like this thing called misinformation, or misdirection, I should say, which is we made everyone think we were in Dubai for the motor show, and we purposely brought the Hoonicorn over for the motor show, so that was where the attention was, and people weren't paying attention to us filming with the RX-43. But because the Hoonicorn was there, we're like, let's include the Hoonicorn in the film. So the Hoonicorn was supposed to be airlifted to that helipad.
Oh, yeah.
And we were gonna do donuts on the helipad at the 7-star hotel. We scouted it. At first the hotel said yes, and then like right before we were gonna do it, we got a phone call and they're like, it's way too dangerous. We don't want you guys to do it.
Yeah, but do you remember what they wanted us to do it?
Oh yeah, they wanted us to chain the Hoonicorn to the ground so that if Ken lost control, it wouldn't go off the edge. And we were like,
Apparently that's how they did the F1 car?
Yeah, they had the F1 car up there.
Somehow chained, like cabled to there.
The
F1
car, they actually built a platform that was underneath the front where the control arms would be that allowed it to spin up there or whatever.
Yeah,
As
of
long as
course,
it's not what
you
we
know,
did.
I thought the F1 car was up there was cool, but I wanted to do some donuts closer to the edge and like, would have been
Gymkhana
rad.
9 Water's Edge style off
Would have
the
been
edge.
rad.
So probably one of the greatest feats we had in terms of pulling location after the Bay Bridge would be,
Hollywood sign.
and we
Hollywood
didn't get
sign.
clear. No, that's not. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
No, it's
right.
Hollywood sign.
Hey, right.
You're right. But what no one knows is that we didn't get clearance for that until the 3rd day of filming.
I think you had to offer up your first child.
Yeah, I did, which works out for me. Sorry, Timmy. It was such a difficult ask because it's actually property controlled by Homeland Security. So while we had access to the road, they weren't going to let us get to the section where we could do donuts, and that was the whole point of why we wanted to go there. Midway filming, I want to say we were like filming Randy's Donuts or something like that. We got the phone call from the location scout, which was like, do you guys want to make it happen? I need to know right now. And it was like,
And it wasn't cheap either.
And it wasn't budgeted anymore because we had decided to do something else. So we brought in other stuff. We were doing other things. And it definitely wasn't cheap. We made the quick decision. It was a helicopter. There was like 3 different, there's the park, the people who own the Hollywood sign, and then also the Homeland Security. But my favorite part of all of that was when we got there, and you probably don't remember this because you were in the car. I got there was a Homeland Security officer there, and he came up to me completely straight-faced, and he said, just want to let you know, you can't point the camera here, 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 or here, and you're standing on federal property. It's the equivalent of you being like on a military base. I do not even have to say anything before I shoot you. And then he just looked at me, deadpan. And I was like, is he joking? Okay, guys, don't point the cameras here. Like, for real, don't point the cameras here. So that was a funny and interesting shoot. But yeah, that was one of those things that wasn't supposed to happen. The original ask went in for the Hollywood sign 7 months prior. So when you guys asked, like, how hard is it to shut down locations? One of the big things you ask is how much money it costs, and it doesn't actually always cost a lot of money to shut down locations. It costs a lot of time. It's a lot of people talking to the mayor's office, to this office, and negotiating with people and making promises and giving people their firstborn, things like that. Oh, yeah, do you know what, in the end, actually, do you know what it was that we traded?
Tacos.
No. Oh, it was how we ended up getting the spot in the end. I won't say who the city official was, but it was a meet and greet with their son, with Travis Pastrana.
Oh,
so
yeah.
in the end, we didn't even have to do it. We just made Travis go meet some guy's son. And then
I didn't even know why. Thank you, Travis.
This one's an interesting one. But it was kind of funny. I appreciated it. When we did Gymkhana 6, we needed an outro song, and we had just put Slayer in as a placeholder. Slayer was never supposed to be the ending song. It wasn't anything we'd all agreed on. But the turnaround was so quick on Gym 6 because we premiered it at SEMA, and then we launched it the following week. And we had a bunch of problems filming Gymkhana 6. It was probably one of the toughest ones we've ever filmed. There was so much work to do to get it all finished in like a 3-week turnaround that we kind of just ran out of time. Slayer was just sitting there in the background, and eventually someone's like, well, maybe we should just keep Slayer. It's already there, it's already cut to it, we don't really have that much time. What are the chances Slayer will agree to this? Someone calls up Slayer and like literally called the band members because they own the rights to their own songs, and we didn't have to go through a record label. And when we asked them, what should it say? They're like, what do you mean what it should say? It should say music by fucking Slayer. So we just removed fucking and just put music by Slayer. That's the end, where every other credit reel is like music by, presented by, in association with, written by, and all the credits. And theirs was just so, it was just so metal. You think we should do a collab with Slayer for Tire Slayer? Comment below, because I think we should do an official Slayer collab.
Yes.
How long did it take to film Gymkhana 1?
It took 2 days, but the 2 days were not consecutive. I filmed one day and we shot a bunch of stuff, and it was like some basic ideas, donut box and the moving donuts and all that. But we didn't film it like a whole course. We kind of filmed it like a course, but it wasn't fully connected. And I didn't even see the footage for a couple weeks later. Later I saw it and I was like, holy crap, this looks really good. And then I went back and scripted like the transition moments and different pieces that we were missing. And I wanted the like moving donuts to be closer. So we reshot a few things and shot all the transition stuff and made the final video. But it was 2 days of filming. I think there were 3 filmers. And it was done really quick and easy.
But it took like over like a month and a half of time span, where we normally shoot these things in like 5 days.
Right, yeah.
Like it dragged out for a long time.
You do 4 days, it's all consecutive, you're done, you go to editing. We shot something for fun. Because remember, like that car was supposed to just be built for doing Gymkhana USA events. They quit doing those events, so I was like, all right, well, we'll just go play with the car and do some testing and practice and make a video of it. But there wasn't a whole lot of pressure. There wasn't any sort of time sensitivity. And so it just sort of happened as it did.
One last question, one last moment. Sometimes things happen and we don't expect them to happen. And sometimes we just have fun on set. And sometimes that fun ends in Ken rolling the car in Dubai. But other times it ends in like these little happy moments we weren't expecting. And one of the best ones for me was Gymkhana 3. It starts raining, and we did those pirouette spins. And that was like, we just had nothing to do. It had started raining, and it wasn't like a super heavy rain, but it was wet enough that we couldn't continue what we were filming. So we just threw those, rolled cameras on it, and it actually made it in the film.
Yeah, and then it dried out and we kept filming. Another funny one that we actually just experienced too was...
Catastrophic moment.
Well, a catastrophic failure of the Kazi that you'll see in Gymkhana Files. But we were down for like 8 hours and we had nothing to do. So we really started screwing off.
You get a bunch of creatives sitting around with a bunch of powerful vehicles. You come up with a thing called tow nuts.
Yeah. So we took the F450 and towed the Hoonicorn around in big donuts while the Hoonicorn was aimed the wrong direction.
At first it was a game of tug of war.
Yeah.
But then we were like, well, the truck's going to destroy the Hoonicorn because of the weight.
And we were like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
We could film that too. But then it was like, well, what if the truck was driving in a circle and the Hoonicorn was just connected to it by like a tow strap and it was just out swinging around. So
it was so good because it was such a shitty moment that day, and all of us were just, and if you've watched Gymkhana Files episode 4, you know how bad that day was. It's the worst day I've ever had on set. The two of us were being really pissy and acting like an old married couple, and it was just because everything was going wrong, and we were, no matter how hard we tried to fix things, we couldn't. We had this one moment that just kind of like lightened the day. It just like reminded us that sometimes you just have to make it fun.
Well, that and the other moment too is we're like, well, the Hoonicorn's putting off really good flames right now.
Oh yeah.
Let's go take it in sort of the dark areas of one of the warehouses. Oh, caveat that warehouse that we shot out in LA is where...
Oh, Childish Gambino did the video for...
This Is America?
This Is America.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same spot we filmed.
Anyway, we went into some of the darker corners of that warehouse and shot just the Hoonicorn shooting flames. I did some donuts, heated the car all up and just shooting flames, and we got these amazing photos and video, and that's the sort of stuff.
And that actually grew out of Detroit, because we actually, in Detroit, we were just shooting in the tunnel. We were just shooting the tunnel sequence, and Ken noticed that the fire was just like really vivid. So you just stopped.
And the turbos were just
were
glowing red.
So he just stopped at Hurt. Hurt was just standing there filming a blow-by and just started doing donuts and popping fire, but it didn't really make any sense in the video for Detroit. So I guess we can show that
it's
too.
Actually in going to
It's in the teasers.
No, it's actually in the extended
cut.
For
Forza. Yeah,
for Forza.
Yeah, it's for Forza. That'll come out in January.
Yeah.
Because we are, just so you guys know, after Gymkhana 10, there's still more. So just when you think you've gotten so much this year, you've gotten Gymkhana Files, you've gotten this show, which is Tangent Gymkhana Special, you've gotten Gymkhana 10, you've even gotten the Twitch live stream that we're doing every week after Files, talking about Gymkhana Files. We're still giving you more. You will get Gymkhana 10, the extended cuts as individual films, with all the partners. So each of the major partners have their own film. And that'll be coming out in January. And then after that, there's even another video where we filmed one of the segments in a Can-Am. So there's tons more coming. So on that.
I hope everyone's enjoyed this. I mean, for us, Gymkhana Files and this sort of content's fun because we normally don't get to tell these stories. And there's so much that goes on. We have such a great crew. We have such talented people that work for us on the creative side, on the race team side, and we go out and we get to make these amazing projects, and it's fun. Like, I am one of the luckiest race car drivers in the world. Luckily, I have very talented guys like Brian next to me, along with everybody else, that we travel the world and do rad stuff, and I'm glad that the fans all enjoy it, and as long as everybody keeps watching, we get to keep making more stuff. So thank you to everyone out there that enjoys the silly stuff that we do and fun projects and even little bonus things like this.
Yep, thanks for supporting all this. Remember the early days when we had that saying, lucky bastard? We never really did anything with that.
I still say that.
I feel like we got to bring that back.
I usually say I'm just one of the luckiest race car drivers in the world. But
You're lucky bastard's
my
great,
PG version is I'm just a lucky bastard.
Thank you guys all for supporting this, because you make it possible for us to have really fun lives. Thanks.
And now we walk off.
Yeah, this is where we walk off. There may also still be a Raptor in Australia that never got shipped home after we went there, but oh well. And like a couple hundred Toyo tires.